What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. Super Bowl is right around the corner, and it is the worst possible matchup. I mean, even the biggest football fans are not excited about this, unless you live in Missouri or Philly. Like that's it. Like that's the only places excited about this Super Bowl. Worst case scenario for a 49er fan, especially. I mean, talk about two teams we despise. Yeah, this one's kind of ugly, but we're going to talk more about the 49ers, the future of the 49ers, what Robert Saleh means to the 49ers, plus a bunch more. So keep it tapped here. We'll hit the intro and be right back. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I'll tell you this. The biggest win this weekend was not the Chiefs, and it was not the Eagles. Big wins, very big wins. The biggest win was my son's flag football team that I coach. We won 27-0. 20, we had 3 pick sixes. I mean, talk about a defensive scheme. My boys are out there running rampant. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Coach of the year right here. Off of one game. It doesn't the rest of the season we could lose, doesn't matter. 27-0, 3 pick sixes. And even better, the team we played, the Cowboys. That's right. We beat the Cowboys. So your boys out here, coaching victories against the Cowboys. I mean, that's biggest victory of the weekend, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully, y'all had a great weekend yourself. Yeah, I like Barkley too. I do, but I mean, I don't know. It's just whatever. Ooh, you know what? I don't like this. Whatever this is here. Let me change this. There we go. All right. There it is. All right, Dave's already in with a super chat. He says, nope, he's not. It was highlighted blue because I hit it, but I'll read it anyway. It says, Jess, is Lyle even a decent NFL person, let alone coach? Uh, What does that even mean? Like, is he a good person? I don't know, man. I don't, I don't. I mean, as long as he's not like out here committing crimes, what I don't really care. Catherine says, congrats to your son. Yeah, absolutely. It was a fun game. It's always good seeing like just the kids win and have a good time. So we had practice today. They were pretty excited about it. My name on Bleacher Report is, I think it's Jesse _ Naylor. I don't know. I'll have to look at it actually here. Hold on. I'll take a look for you because I want you to go support Bleacher Report. They're doing a cool thing over there and giving me some love. So it's it's just my first and last name, Jessie. Last name Naylor, Naylor. There you go. There it is. Pretty simple. Should be a good find. Did you say that often? Hey, actually, I lie. We had 2 pick sixes. We had 3 picks, 2 pick sixes. One of them, we ran down to like the 10-yard line and had to score from there. So it was close enough. But yeah, the offense, I mean, we got our extra points, 3 of our 4 extra points, and then got our 1 touchdown. And our touchdown was a bomb down the left-hand side. An absolute dime from my quarterback, just right over the top of a defender in the back corner of the end zone. I mean, oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. Dave says, you say Shenanigans at his best. What's his best? Oh, we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. All right. First, some house cleaning. Brant Boyer, 53-year-old, special teams coordinator, most recently with the New York Jets, is now the special teams coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Curious to see how you feel about that. This is what's interesting is special team stats are really, really hard to decipher. It's not like you go to X website and they have defenses and offenses ranked by points, yards, red zone offense, red zone. I mean, how do you quantify special teams? I mean, EPA, I guess, whatever, but it's hard to quantify. It's like, is your kicker good? Do you give up any big punts and kick returns? All right, I guess we're good here. Can you get a big punt or kick return? So I find that interesting. Like, I'll give you an example. Nick Sorensen was just hired with the Dallas Cowboys to be their special teams coordinator. A lot of people thought that he was going to be here with the 49ers. Their special teams will probably be better than the 49ers, just based off the fact they have a great kick returner / punt returner and arguably one of the, top 3 kicker in the league, probably. So if the Dallas Cowboys have a better special teams than the 49ers, how weird would that be? Because the 49ers got rid of Sorensen, they brought in Brant Boyer. But really, your special teams big time is made up of 2 players essentially. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I do want to give some background on Brant because I was looking it up, seeing what his career was like, or his coaching career. First of all, 10-year NFL career, played from 94 to 2004. He was a linebacker. He started only 17 games in his career, but he was a special teamer. That's what he was making teams to do. So obviously, the fact that he was a special teamer in his career shows that he takes special teams very seriously and has parlayed that into a special teams coaching career. But he played for the Dolphins, the Jags, and the Browns. Now, he started his coaching career in 2009 with the Browns. He was a training camp intern in 2009 with the Browns. He was a training camp intern in 2010 with the Giants. And then he caught on in 2012 and was the assistant special teams coach in 2012 to 2015 with the Colts. And then most recently was with the Jets. Started with them in 2016, went all the way through 2024. And you know how you are pretty much known as a good coach is when one regime gets fired and another regime comes in and you just stay in that position, which is exactly what he did. He was there before Saleh. Saleh came in, hired a staff, and was like, no, you're good. You can stay. So he was the special teams coordinator through the Saleh era as well. And I do find this interesting because if you look at Kyle Shanahan's staff throughout the years, a big portion of that was his dad's doing. His dad had all these connections, and Kyle utilized those connections and coaching under his dad to bring in these new people and what have you. But after we saw Saleh move on and D'Amico Ryans, Kyle was kind of out of options as far as like shoulder tapping people he knew and had worked with. So here we go. Robert Saleh comes in as the defensive coordinator, and he's like, yo, we need a special teams coordinator. Robert's like, well, we had one over in New York that was pretty good. He's looking for a new job, and he was with me. So he parlayed essentially Robert Saleh into 2 positions, big positions of need. So I found that interesting, but also how helpful is that Robert Saleh is able to bring part of his staff over and help the 49ers in a multitude of different ways. Robert Saleh is pretty dang important to this whole operation. So he does bring a lot with him, not just himself. All right. Now let's talk about Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, I guess at the East-West Shrine Bowl, there were rumors flying around to Tony Pauline about the 49ers and what they want to do defensively, and heard some good things. They want to be faster and they want to be more exotic, which is pretty much exactly what we've all been asking for. It's like, man, can you not be so vanilla on defense, 49ers? Can you please show me something? It was a big reason when all the rumors started flying. Remember, we had about a 6 to 8 hour period where it's like maybe Pete Carroll is going to be the guy. It's like, no, we don't want Pete Carroll to be the guy because he is the most vanilla coach of all time as of late. It's so bad. The offense and defense in Seattle were so bad and so vanilla. It looked like a 1960s run organization, the way that they called plays. So we didn't want that. And bringing back Robert Saleh was a concern of mine. I talked a lot about it. Hey, personally, I would like to do a scheme flip. I would like to change some things up. I would like to be more aggressive on defense. Why not hire Mike Pettin or whatever? There was a multitude of different names that we could have thrown into that hat, but that was my idea. But the big reason was not because I don't think Robert Saleh is a good coach, and I thought he was the best option if we aren't going to change things. But I just wanted something new. I wanted something different. I wanted to force Kyle Shanahan out of his comfort zone a little bit, bring something new to the table. Well, it sounds like Robert Saleh is willing to make some changes here. And more importantly, Kyle Shanahan is going to give him the autonomy to do so. Now, all of this is just words right now at this point. We heard Kyle Shanahan talk about at the end of the year in his end of year press conference, hey, it's not Sorensen's fault, but he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And sometimes when players go down, you got to be able to change things up schematically. And we just weren't ready for that. Well, Robert Saleh will be ready for that. If players go down, if the personnel changes, he will change with it if Kyle allows him to. He's smart enough and seasoned enough to know how to do this. Well, Kyle basically said in that press conference, he recognizes that things need to change, especially when personnel is not what you expect it to be. Sounds like he's willing to let things change in those situations. And Robert Saleh is over here telling people, hey, we need to change a little bit. We can't do the same stuff if we're going to be successful. So those two things marry together. And that tells me that Kyle Shanahan is going to allow Robert Saleh to really do his thing. And I think, like, most importantly here, Robert Saleh has been given the title of essentially head coach of the defense. And this is where the Kyle Shanahan conversation comes in. And this is why I said Shanahan can and probably will be at his best, is he doesn't have to worry about coaching the other units to the level that he was the last couple of years. It's one thing to be the head coach of the team and, hey, you put together the game plan, you run it by me, we talk through it for a couple hours, I give you the green light, and we're good. Versus, hey, I don't trust what you have going on. I'm going to have to sit in all of your meetings to make sure that you're running this thing right, because either you're Steve Wilkes, who I lost complete trust for you and the team wasn't rocking with you, or you're Sorensen and you just don't know what you don't know. You're new. So I've got to help you along, holding your hand all the way through. Now, to be fair, both of those hires were made by Kyle Shanahan. So I don't feel sorry for him. This is not an excuse for him because he chose to go that route. So whatever you got to do to make it work, you make it work. However, knowing that Robert Saleh is now in the building, this tells me that he feels more comfortable letting go of the reins. The way that he's talked, the way that Saleh has talked throughout this process tells me that Robert Saleh is going to have full autonomy. He trusts Robert Saleh as he should. And I believe this special teams coordinator, Brant Boyer, he's going to feel the same way about. Hey, you've been a special teams coordinator for 8 years. You were an assistant for 3 years. I trust that you know what you're doing. Now, we'll put the assets at this team however we see fit. Robert Saleh, when we make a defensive draft pick or go to sign free agents or figure out which one of our guys we're going to bring back, whatever, he's going to be a part of that. That is the best thing for Kyle Shanahan because like I know, that yes, he's the head coach, but he is a play caller at heart. And on game day, you've heard it a million times. If you've gone to games, you've seen it a million times. He is face in tablet, worried about what play he's going to call no matter what's going on around him. That's the way that he operates on game day, which means if you can't be everywhere all at once and you're not going to be the head coach on game day, you need people that can be the head coaches of their units that you can trust and just say, you do it. I trust in you. I'm building my game plan. I got it over here. We'll figure it out. So that allows Kyle Shanahan to coach free and do what he has to do. Now, I do also think that Kyle Shanahan needs to look at his own play calling, look at what he brings to the table as a coordinator. And I think that Kyle Shanahan is now in a situation, if you look at what he's done as a head coach and as a play caller, he attacks rules of defenses, right? There's a difference between attacking players and attacking rules. Give you an example. When the 49ers played the Miami Dolphins, was it 2020, I think? And we had brought up Allen off the street, essentially, to play corner. And Ryan Fitzpatrick was over there dicing up Allen play after play after play. It was like, mouse in the house. There's that guy. Go pick on him every single play. And we are going to score. Great game plan. However, Kyle Shanahan doesn't do that necessarily. What he does is he attacks rules. He says, okay, I'm going to have an over route here. I'm going to have a post here. I'm going to have a fly over here. And if they're playing cover 2, because of this route combination and the depth we're running it, this linebacker is going to go here at 7 yards. This corner is going to drop here, but he's going to drop back. And he's got the whole thing figured out because he started on the defensive side of the ball. That's where his coaching started. He knows the rules of your coverage, and he attacks that and builds all of his plays around that, which is genius if you think about it. But what's happened over the last couple of years is defenses are doing to his offense what he's done to defenses. So they look at Kyle and say, okay, Kyle, that's great. But when you are in a 3rd and long situation, we know if we show you blitz, you're going to hit your underneath hot. Instead of sliding protections, instead of calling audibles, instead of any of that, you're going to have a hot player that is underneath that you're going to throw to, and that's how you're going to solve for this blitz that we are going to show you. Which also means we know in 3rd and long, all we got to do is tackle under the sticks, and we are good to go. He's got to change that. Kyle Shanahan this year talked about, why aren't you running play action more, Kyle? Well, we're not getting the looks that we want. So defenses have figured out, okay, you want to run the ball. You want to run play action off that run, and that's how your pass game dominates. We also know that if we show you X, Y, and Z, you're not going to run play action. And he admitted as much, which means they are attacking the rules of the 49er scheme, not the personnel. So Kyle has to go back to the drawing board, figure out, do some self-scouting, and rectify that issue. And because he has Robert Saleh and Brant Boyer in place, 2 guys he can trust, that eases his mind and allows him to just revamp this thing as much as he needs to get things ticking again. That's why I think we are going to get the best possible version this next year of Kyle Shanahan that we could have gotten based off of the hires that were made. So that's where the title comes in, Dave. I know you were wondering. All right. Dave says, you say, yep. Answer that question. Dave says, who has or gets more respect now, Saleh or Shenanigans? I don't know about that. Sir Cash Money says, howdy. Hope your day was as exciting as mine, Jesse. Today, I saw a falcon and a hawk too. Happy for you, man. That sounds beautiful. All day, every day, Kim says, every single time Mahomes wins a game, is another reason why Kyle should be fired, dude. Oh my gosh. I don't know like how those fit together. I mean, I feel like it actually says the opposite all day, every day, Kim. Because really what it's saying is nobody in the league can beat Patrick Mahomes. So who cares who your coach and quarterback and it doesn't matter. It's not enough. I don't know. Maybe we're looking at this completely wrong. Let's see. Somebody said I sound like a robot. Do I? I don't see anybody else saying that. I have been having issues with the connection though. So who knows? Who do we Okay, here's a question for you. Who the heck do we root for in the Super Bowl? I mean, I know that we technically can't like root tough for anybody because we hate both of these teams, but you know, we have to choose a side. Who do we choose? Who do we choose? Okay, I'm going to tell you why I am going to choose the Eagles. Okay? Tell you why I'm going to choose the Eagles. 2 reasons. 1, Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon's a really good dude, and I'm very, very, very happy. Oh, it makes Kyle sound like, yeah, probably. Root for the rapture. Nice, well played. Well, actually, you know what? You're right. You're right. No, I'm gonna choose the Eagles, but I can't root too hard. Like it's not that serious. I could care less, but I'm gonna choose the Eagles because of Saquon Barkley, 1. And 2, the Chiefs losing at least gives hope to the rest of the league that they can be beaten. If they just run off 3 straight, and then, I mean, what's going to change next year? I mean, even if Travis Kelce retires, let's be honest, Travis Kelce right now is a shell of himself. They'll get Rashee Rice back. You know, they'll draft well. They'll spend their money wise. They're going to be in this thing again. So if the Chiefs win, what is the hope for the rest of the league? Just time. We do this every year. We hope that after a certain amount of time, we forget how good they are. And then we just, hey, guys, the Chiefs look vulnerable at 15-2 and winning a bunch of 1-score games. I bet you they can be beaten. That's the only thing that's going to change. To me, if the Eagles win, at the very least, we can say, hey, they're beatable. And even better, they're beatable by complete teams that don't necessarily have that dude at quarterback. That gives me hope as a 49er fan that, hey, we can build this thing and go after it. As long as the 49ers can out-talent them, it is possible that the formula the 49ers have been trying to put together year after year finally breaks through. Even though it's not the 49ers, it at least gives hope that it's possible. So for me, that's why I would go Eagles. But Tommy, you are the pick guru. Who are you picking is the question. Who are you picking? Yeah, I get it, but can we stand Mahomes? I don't know. Tommy, who are you picking? Oh, geez. All right. Well, listen, the Chiefs are going to win. We all probably believe that. Man, we'll see. We'll see. We will see. I don't know, man. Mahomes. Anytime he goes against the Bills, he just goes ham. He goes ham. He always figures it out. There you go. There you go. That's probably smart. Root for a WNBA team. I'm with it. I'm with it. Dave says, I think Kim is saying because he could have had Mahomes. Oh, okay. Way to think that one through. I didn't look at it like that, but that's probably exactly what they were saying. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Before I get into the next topics, I do want to say this. Pinned to the top of the chat is a link. And I want to explain this to you. So, just so you know, watching college film, watching any film on here is a way to get demonetized. So, I'll give you an example. Anytime I do like 49er film breakdowns and we go watch the offense to the defense, YouTube demonetizes that video. Okay. Which is fine. I'm not too worried about it. But there's a difference between demonetize and a strike versus your channel. A strike versus your channel, you can only get 3 of those and you're like off the platform basically. And the one time I ever watched college all 22 on here, I got a strike, not just lost monetization to that video, but a tough strike against the channel. So they don't mess with it at all. All 22 college, they're just not with it. So what I've done is I've started a webinar. And I'm gonna watch this stuff anyway. So whether one of you shows up, none of you, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna watch through this anyways. But I figured, hey, why not make it like a viewing party and we can watch film together? I doubt that there's a lot of you just holding on to college film. I've got most prospects available at my disposal to go watch. So we can just watch together. We can have our opinions together. We can break it down together. You guys can tell me who you want to watch, who you want to watch next. Usually what I do is I'll watch 3 games of a prospect and come up with my thing. But maybe, there's 10, 12 of you in the chat, whatever, and you have something completely different. And you're like, hey, we watch this guy. Let's go watch this guy, whatever. I'll kind of leave it up to you how we do it. But I'm going to watch these prospects anyways to learn them. So instead of just watching it on my phone like a loser, I'll watch it with you like a loser. How about that? So what I've done is I've pinned a link to the top of the chat, and that's going to bring you to a webinar that is hosted through the platform I use to go live on YouTube. But instead of it going to YouTube, it's just going to be housed within that platform, which means we can watch it and not have to worry about anything. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to randomly, I'll post the links. The link will be different every time, but I'll always post it in the community chat. And if I've got a show before that, I will post it here as well in the chat so that you guys all know. But tomorrow night, 9:45 p.m. Eastern, 6:45 p.m. Pacific, we'll carve out about an hour, hour and a half together, and we'll watch some prospects. So if you guys are into it, you want to geek out with me, by all means, let's do that. If not, totally cool. That's fine. Now, when you go to sign up, it will ask you for your name and your email. Some of you won't be comfortable with that. That's totally fine too. It's just the way that this platform runs it. Not really much I can do about that. But for those of you that don't care and you want to join me, it'll be much more of a private experience than this. There will still be a chat. You won't be able to pay or super chat anything. Don't worry about that. Just come and hang out. That's all. So I'm not going to get paid either way, so I don't really care about that. I can't host it on YouTube, but I might as well hang out with you guys and just do something a little bit different. So that's what I'm going to do. If you guys are in, then you're in. Angel says Brock Purdy is winning a Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, or any of these elite quarterbacks. Mark my words. Hey, I'm with it. I don't care. Just win a Super Bowl. I don't really care who it's before or after. I don't care if all those guys won a Super Bowl. If Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl, that means the 49ers won a Super Bowl. So I'm with it. Joseph says, I'm rooting for everyone to have fun. Fire Kyle. Man, you guys are just relentless. I thought I made a good case for why Kyle will be better than ever. And you guys just like, we don't want to hear that garbage. He's trash. What's up, SoCal Rams? Became a member. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, brother. Dazza says some 49er fans are delusional if they think Saleh and a good draft gets us back to the Super Bowl. Oh, we're going to talk about this. This is great right here. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. And Dave says, serious topic. Can the Chiefs stop Barkley? He's good. Yes, I think they can. I don't know that they can like just stop him completely, but I think what they can and probably will stop, every game it seems like he's ripping off a 50-plus yard run. Probably even longer, like 60, 70 yards. I don't believe he will do that against the Chiefs. If he does, and it results in a touchdown, that might be enough for them to win. But I believe the Chiefs will have a game plan, and their corners and their secondary tackles so well. I don't think that he'll rip off runs like that. So he's still going to get his. He's a great player, and that offensive line is really good. But as far as the big run, I do think that they can contain that. And that'll be what probably ultimately wins them a Super Bowl. All Day Everyday Cam says exactly what I was saying. Kyle didn't even scout him. Yeah, okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Point well taken. Point well taken. Listen, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I don't know. I mean, other than being just a diehard fan, which I respect, I don't know what tangible thing you can hold on to that leads you to believe that. But I'm all about the fandom for sure. I'm all about the fandom. It's actually, we'll get there in a sec. Actually, yeah. You know what? I'll save the other two topics for after. Let's talk about this, because this is a good question. And the question was brought up like, hey, if you think Saleh, and Daz, I think asked it, if you think Saleh and a couple pieces is going to win them a Super Bowl, you're delusional. He didn't ask it. That was his statement. Which brings me to my question, which is, do you feel like after this year that just happened and the way things have played out, that the 49ers are Super Bowl or bust like they have been the last couple of years? Because we can all agree 2 years ago, Super Bowl or bust. This last year, definitely Super Bowl or bust. Coming off of a loss in the Super Bowl, retaining everybody, running it back, doing all the stuff they did. This was a Super Bowl or bust year. It was. You paid CMC, you paid Trent. I mean, you did everything you could to keep the band together. So to me, that was a Super Bowl or bust year. Now, it didn't work out, clearly. I mean, they had a 6-win season, but the expectation was Super Bowl or bust. Do you feel like after the way this played out, they are still Super Bowl or bust? Meaning, if they got to the divisional round and lost in a close game, would you feel like that was progress and you would feel good about it and like, okay, we're kind of back, we're building on that? Or is it like, hey, if they don't win a Super Bowl, that's it, nothing else will do? Where are you guys at? Like, where do you land on that? Fossey says no offseason distractions, team is healthy. Yeah, but why would this team? The team is a year older. So, like, why would you just assume health? Plus, this is football. No team stays healthy all year. Like, it just doesn't happen. You're going to lose pieces. Can you overcome it? Can you overcome it? I like this one. Yeah. Although the league does change very quickly. I mean, I think most people that had Washington on their schedule this time last year were like, we got this. And now they're like, we don't got this. Turns out they changed a lot. They're pretty good. So you just never know. We need to see those heads gonna roll. What happens in free agency draft? Yeah. I got you. I'm just saying in this moment right now, because of the way the last season played out, because I feel like I I thought this as the season was going along that Kyle Shanahan bought himself more time with this organization because they had a down year. Meaning, as long as they make the playoffs next year, most people are going to look at that as progress because they're going to say, hey, this team clearly wasn't very good the 2024 season. They revamped things. They got to the playoffs, maybe even won a game. We feel good about this. We're headed back in the right direction. Versus if they had gotten to the Super Bowl and lost and then got bounced in round one next year or divisional round next year, it would have been a disappointment. Right. So the bar's been lowered. And I feel like most people, probably myself included, are like, hey, I don't think this is a Super Bowl quality team anymore. I think that ship has sailed. They've got to retool on the fly here. Getting to the playoffs and winning a game would probably suffice because it at least shows that they got that fight in them still and they can compete at a high level. Now, not making the playoffs at all or getting to the playoffs and losing right away, not great. I wouldn't be happy about that. But I do feel like the bar has been lowered on the 2025 season because of the way 2024 played out. That's just me. That's just me. And I was curious to see if you felt the same way. Couple playoff wins. For sure. I mean, it was a complete team failure. I don't disagree. Jesse, the Niners need to play more of the rookies in case of injury. Yeah. I mean, if you draft these guys, that's the thing is like the roster is not so talented anymore that you can get away with just not playing the rookies. Because before it's like, okay, well, the roster is so talented that you draft these rookies, they're probably not going to make their way onto the field. Like there's just too much talent in front of them. That is no longer the case. The rookie might be the best player at his position. You have to give these guys chances. This changes everything because of the way the team is now. This is not the normal, you know, normal deal here. Frisco says that's fans, but the Yorks will probably look at it different. In what sense? You think that they'll hold Shanahan's feet to the fire if they made it to the playoffs? I don't think he will. Spidey G says, Jesse, I don't think we'd be great in 2021 after the first Super Bowl hangover, especially since the NFC at that time had a defending Super Bowl champs, Bucks with Brady, Packers, Rodgers, Rams, AD. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is still very different. I'm looking at the talent of that team versus the talent of this team. I don't I mean, again, free agency hasn't happened, the draft hasn't happened. So I'll reserve my judgment, but I'm just looking at it right now and like the key players. All I know is that like all those guys that were really good then are just older now. And some of them are going to have to find the fountain of youth and rekindle what they were 2 years ago. Otherwise, they're not heading in a good direction, in my opinion. Mike Drops of the Month says, after 8 years of being a head coach, year 9, we need speed on the defense. You don't say. This regime is reactionary, and this is the wrong league for that. It's interesting you say that. I remember doing a show with Grant probably 3 years ago, maybe probably about 3 years ago. And one of the topics were, are they proactive or reactive? And I thought then they were a very reactive team, very reactive. And I think if I've watched some time kind of play out, I still feel that way. I do feel that way. And you're right. If you're reactive, that means you're one step behind and you're always kind of playing catch up. But I also know that this team has been really good too. I also think that, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because I think the biggest thing is like Robert Saleh is here, which is great. The result was great, but the process was very reactive. And I had an issue with the process. So Dave says, Jess, side bet Barkley plus minus 100 yards. I'll go over. No, no, I don't want. Although I don't know that that's a good bet for you. Underdog Fantasy, check them out. They're a sponsor of the channel. Was playing that this weekend. Had more or less on Barkley, 124 and a half yards, and he didn't make it. I thought especially against Washington, and then when he racked off the 60-yard run to start the game and still couldn't just double that for the final rest of the game. So I don't know that he'll get there, but I'm not willing to necessarily bet on it. Mike Drops the Month says Niners are not Super Bowl or bust. Can they win the NFC West? That's a good question. But you can not win your division and still make the Super Bowl. But you're right. I think your point is more they need to focus on winning the NFC West because it's not like these teams are getting worse around them, which means they've got to close the gap and also improve on top of that if they're going to do that. I think right now, if you ask me, 49ers or the house on winning the West, I'll take the house. I'll definitely take the house. But I might not feel like that after the draft and free agency. We'll see. We'll see. But right now, I would comfortably take the house. Dave says, fire Lyle and Brick right now. Start over with Saleh. Listen, I like Saleh. I don't know that I want him to be my head coach, though, either. I don't know. I mean, what did he prove? Daza says 49ers need to make divisional minimum, but ideally the NFC Championship. But Washington, Vikings, Packers, Rams, Lions, Eagles, Bucks are all going to be better. Yeah, I don't know that they're all going to be better. I mean, let's go team by team real quick. Washington completely overachieved this year. We'll see what Jaden Daniels is. I mean, Jaden Daniels certainly played elite this year. Got that. But you got to stack years. I mean, stacking years in the NFL is not easy. So can he do anything close to what he did this year? We'll see. Plus, they're going to lose a lot of players, although those players weren't great, and they have a crap ton of money to spend. A crap ton. I mean, 90-something million dollars. It's insane. They've got a lot of money. So they have the means to build a good team, but we'll see. Vikings. They also have a lot of money to spend. Quite a bit. And I would say so far what I like best, assuming he doesn't get the Saints job, is Flores is staying as the defensive coordinator. So they're going to stay intact from a coaching perspective, which is massive, I think. You got a good offensive play caller. You got a good defensive play caller. You keep it together. But what is their quarterback situation? Listen, I never jumped on the Sam Darnold hype train this year. A lot of people are like, we need to apologize, Sam. Like, just wait. You'll see. And it happened. He's a turnover merchant. But that being said, I respect Sam enough to say I don't know that I can expect a guy who's never taken an NFL snap and JJ McCarthy to just come out the gates and be better than him. Now, maybe they'll be better at the end of the season because JJ is better, but how many games do you lose along the way because JJ is young and it just kind of falls apart on you? So we'll see about the Vikings. Packers, in theory, should be better. They've got some good money to spend. Still projected to be the youngest team in the NFL going into next year, but another year of experience is always good. Jordan Love, man, he's talented. talented, but he turns the ball over way too much for my liking. Way too much for my liking. The Rams, very young team outside of a couple players, including their quarterback. As long as Matthew Stafford can be Matthew Stafford, they're going to be very, very tough. Very tough. But they do have a first place schedule, and we'll see how that goes. But they draft extremely well. Extremely well. Got a very good young defensive and offensive line. So yeah, they're going to be there. The Lions are more talented than the 49ers, and they have more money to spend this offseason. However, they just lost their offensive and defensive coordinator and are coming off of a disappointing finish to a season in which they were 15-2. So what are they going to look like? On paper, yes. But I would expect for them to take a back step for those reasons I listed. Also curious to see how Jared Goff is under a new offensive coordinator. We'll see. Eagles, certainly. Extremely talented. They're going to, difference between when they had the Super Bowl hangover versus if they lose this year, will they have it again? First of all, bunch of young players. This is the most impressive thing about the Eagles. They had 70 sacks 2 seasons ago, the 2022 season. We just played the 2024 season, okay? The 2022 season, they had 70 sacks. Majority of that came from their front. Go look at that starting front. They're all gone. Every single one of those players are gone off the team. All of them. And they're still dominant along the defensive line. They revamped the whole... It wasn't a situation where it's, hey, we have 70 sacks, but we got a Nick Bosa or a TJ Watt, and we lost everybody around him, but we were able to bring in guys, but we still had this one guy that we could build around, and he's our staple. No, the whole thing is gone. All of it. And what do? They revamp it over a 3-year time span in the draft. By the way, starting before that season, knowing that this was going to be a thing. 2 years down the line, these guys were going to retire or they just wouldn't pay them. So they started that process in the 2022 draft leading into that season and have just kept it going for the last 3 years to rebuild that thing. That's super impressive. Super impressive. So the Eagles are going to be, and they're going to draft well. Like, that's just going to happen. They're going to draft well. So yeah, I think the Eagles are going to be tough no matter what, because that coaching staff isn't going anywhere either after this run. They're same coaches are going to be there. At least Vic Fangio. And depending on who the Saints hire, I doubt it's going to be Buddy at offensive coordinator. So yeah, I think their coaching staff will be back. The Bucks are interesting. I think Baker is better than people want to give him credit for. This is coming from a guy that hated Baker throughout the draft process. Hated him up through until he got to Tampa Bay. And then the last 2 years, like, I mean, what can you say about him? He's not elite. Certainly he's not elite. Not trying to throw him in that category, but he's good. I didn't think he was good, right? Like, the difference between the way that I view Brock, for example, and Baker, I do think Brock is good. I just don't think he's elite. People hate that. I didn't think Baker was good. I thought he was arrogant. I thought he was a bad leader. I thought he was a turnover merchant, all of that. I just didn't think he was good. He's good. He's a good player. So I was wrong on Baker. He's shown to be a good player. But they have a lot. They just lost their offensive coordinator for one. Here's a bar question. Baker Mayfield has been in the league for 8 years. You know how many different offensive coordinators he's had in 8 years? 8. He's had a different offensive coordinator every single year of his career. Remember when Alex Smith wasn't living up to expectations and people were like, whoa, God, I mean, different offensive coordinator every year, every other year. What do you expect him to do? Baker Mayfield has had a different offensive coordinator every year of his career. He's still playing well. That's a testament to him. But they will have a new offensive coordinator. There's still some things talent-wise that are to be desired about the rest of the team. They'll be good. They'll probably win their division again. We'll see after that. Now, if the 49ers have to go to Tampa in January, okay, I could see that situation playing out. But if the Bucks have to go to Santa Clara, I'd feel good about the 49ers winning that. So, yes, these teams are going to be good. And that's also assuming the 49ers make it. I don't know that they will. I also don't know that there's not a surprise team. The Vikings were a surprise this year. Washington was a surprise this year. The Rams, I think, for some people, not for me, I picked them to make the playoffs, but the Rams were a surprise for some people. So who is that team next year? There's always at least one. Maybe there's more than one. Is it the Bears? Could the Bears be that surprise team? They got a lot of money. You get another draft in there. You brought in a whole new coaching staff. What is Ben Johnson? I don't know. What is Caleb Williams? Together, can they make magic? Are they the surprise team? Could the Cardinals or Seahawks be the surprise team? Cardinals have a crap ton of money. You know they're going to spend it on defense. I could also see them being a team going, oh, Myles Garrett? Yeah, we'll trade for him. Yeah. No, we'll give up the first-round pick. We need to revamp our defensive line. What a better player to get than Myles Garrett. So they could be a surprise team. Seattle went and got an actual NFL offensive coordinator today and Kubiak. So are they better because of that? Second year under McDonald? Who knows? I don't know who it's going to be. All I know is that there is going to be a team in the NFC, just like every year, that will surprise people. Could it be the Falcons? Could it be the Panthers? I don't know. I don't know who it is. But somebody will surprise us. So there's somebody on this list that is going to be better than people expected that we're not accounting for as well. So the road to the Super Bowl is never going to be easier than it was two seasons ago. Or 2023 season for the 49ers, truthfully. Daza says O-line and D-line both need an overhaul, upgrade, and questions on QB. Where's the massive improvement coming from? I think the massive improvement is they are going to spend assets towards those things. Now, whether you hit or not, that's a completely different question. You are going to have an easier schedule. Health is tough to predict, but you would think you would be at least healthier. I mean, that was pretty down season as far as health goes. So I think that's where the optimism is coming from, and I don't necessarily disagree. You also have a more than competent defensive coordinator now, which you can't say that you did last year. So to expect they're going to be better, I would say so. But massive improvement means you're going to get to the playoffs and at least win a game. I don't know that that's going to happen. We'll see. Mike Jocelyn says the NFC is strengthening QB play, coaching. I don't have the Niners finishing in the top 3. Are they better than we just did the whole exercise, the whole thing together. You obviously sent this before the exercise, but I don't need to do it again. But I do appreciate you. He also says I need to call in. Too bad they didn't elevate Peters into the Roseman position. Would have been the best move by the Yorks that they ever made. Look at Washington now. I do agree with this because there is a scenario where you could have gone to John Lynch and said, hey, we'll make you team president or whatever, but we want Adam Peters to be the GM and made everybody happy. That scenario did exist. But then on the flip side, did Adam Peters want that? And the only reason I say that is because this team is Kyle Shanahan's team. Kyle Shanahan is going to be able to override you. So if you're looking at it saying, hey, I want to draft this player, and Kyle's like, no, we want to go here, Kyle's probably going to win that. Is that something that Adam was willing to do? And even if you draft well and the team does great, Kyle's going to get the credit. So Is that something he wanted? I don't know. I don't know. But if it was available, I do agree that that would have been a great move. Dave says, so what you're really saying is Lyle's a bad head coach. It's not what I said. All right. It's not what I said. Quit twisting my words. Okay. He definitely has his shortcomings. It's probably what I said, but I didn't say he's a bad head coach. Frisco says Sala draft, easy schedule for, I don't know, 5 profit. All right, fair. I would say I would caution against the easy schedule for the reasons we just talked about. But on the surface, we'll see like where these games fall. What do the back-to-backs look like? Where's the road? There's a lot that factors into the schedule other than just the opponents. When you play them, how much rest? Are you playing in Germany? Like, there's a lot of things that will factor in. I don't think any schedule is easy. The NFL is just tough, but I would say the schedule is easier than this year, at least on the surface. Dazza says revisionist history, but would D'Amico as head coach with a good OC be better than what we have now? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Here's a question for you, because these guys were in house. This is actually a really good question. Chat, this is a great question. And I just thought of this based off of what you said and based off of what Monsa said. Okay. Would you rather have Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, head coach, GM? Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. Or would you rather have a tandem of D'Amico Ryans, Adam Peters? D'Amico Ryans, Adam Peters, or Shanahan, John Lynch? There's a question for the chat. I'm going to wait for some of these answers. Ryans and Peters. I like your name, by the way. I'd rather have Shanahan and Lynch. I'm not a believer in D'Amico. He folds to the Chiefs just like Shanahan, but worse. Yeah, but I mean, the difference is that he wasn't. Nobody thought that the Texans could beat the Chiefs. People, Vegas, the betting lines actually thought that the 49ers were going. The team was better, that they could beat them. D'Amico and Adam all day. D'Amico and Adam. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who the QB is. Just who would you rather have? Like, what pair would you trust more for the next 5 years? I think that's a way to look at it. If I said no matter what, doesn't matter how good or bad the team is for the next 5 years, this is the tandem you have. Who do you want? Kyle and Lynch. He said that's not even hard. I would go with D'Amico and Adams. Appreciate you, man. D'Amico. 49ers folded the Chiefs. See, this is where I got to disagree, Ryan. This is where I got to disagree. So I've said many times that I don't know what Adam Peters did or did not do. Okay, so it's really hard to quantify what he did for the 49ers. Like, I do think there's a segment that's like everything good was Adam Peters and everything bad was John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan. I don't subscribe to that. However, Adam Peters had a big hand in this year's draft. Almost as big of a hand as he's ever had, because scouting players and building your draft board doesn't start in February of that year, 2 months before the draft. No. This was a process that was 2+ years in the making, 2-3 years in the making. So their draft board and players they like, yes, things will shift based off of, Senior Bowls and whatever. But those players, those core players, they were scouted many years in advance. Many years in advance. And at the very least, certainly scouted all through the previous year where Adam Peters was there. So I don't think if you're trying to quantify what he did and didn't do, you can look at last year's draft and say, well, they were good without him. We're good here. I think truly you're going to have to look at what do their drafts look like for the next 3 years for the 49ers and for Washington, because that's where we're going to find out. He had a big part in he had almost as big of a part, whatever that was with the 49ers last year, as he ever did. And he certainly had a big part with Washington. And by the way, most independent sources that are like draft gurus, they've done their breakdowns, and most of them either have Washington 1 or 2 as far as best draft class last year. So what we do know is this: he certainly can draft very well, because he's now proven that in the 1 year he was in Washington. That we do know for a fact. The rest of it, we don't know. We don't know. Let's see what the 49ers do this year. This year will be very telling. If the 49ers can double down and have another great draft class, I'll agree with that statement. But based off of just last year, I've seen this a lot, and it's not just you, Ryan, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because I've been saying that this is not a 2-month process. He left in February. They drafted in April. All that stuff, most of the legwork had been done at that point. It's just the way that it works. This is a year-round job. Scouting players is a year-round job. Dazza says revisionist history, but okay, yeah, we got that one. I think most people actually said D'Amico and Adam Peters, believe it or not. Dave says, Jess, remember when you said everything is on Lyle? True, it is. I agree with that. It is on Lyle. I don't disagree. I'm not changing my stance on that. Dave says, always playing with you, just throwing twos around. I did say that, and I believe that. I mean, ultimately, he is this regime. But that does play both ways, because I think that, I'll give you an example. I think when the defense is really, really good, and probably carrying the 49ers at times throughout this process that Kyle's been here, people immediately say, well, Kyle's offense isn't doing what it needs to do. This is a defensive-led team. Kudos to D'Amico Ryans, or kudos to Robert Saleh, whatever. Kyle's the head coach. Kyle hired those guys and put them in place. Who the hell was Robert Saleh before Kyle hired him? Who the hell was D'Amico Ryans as a defensive coordinator before Kyle hired him? You see what I'm saying? So Kyle he's the head coach. So when things go well on defense, he deserves credit for that. When players get drafted to this team that are good, he deserves credit for that too. I mean, everything, all encompassing. Kyle deserves to be talked about like the head coach and leader of this organization when it comes to the football decisions being made. That means when things are good, he deserves more credit, because people look at him as just the OC in that scenario. And when he's bad, he deserves more blame, because people look at him as just the OC in that scenario. You know how many times I will see somebody post a stat about, the 49ers? It's been happening a lot this weekend with the Nick Sirianni thing. Like, oh, Nick Sirianni's, good because of XYZ. And then people will say, oh, well, Kyle's offense did this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, cool. He's not the offensive coordinator. He's the head coach. Are we judging him like the head coach or the offensive coordinator? And vice versa. When the defense was doing well, nobody talked about him being a big reason why the defense is doing well. It's like, well, his offense isn't living up to expectation. Cool, but he is the head coach. So I think it goes both ways. I think there's a crowd that undersells him, and there's a crowd that oversells him based off of being the offensive coordinator alone. Daza says, I trust Amico to develop young players more than Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Dave says Lyle's best attribute is hiring and developing coaches. But that's as a head coach, that's a really good attribute to have. It's a really good attribute to have. So, I mean, if you can continuously develop good young coaches that are eventually going to become head coaches and then continue to replace them with good young coaches, that's big. Now, I do think that kind of ran out. That's why Saleh is back, because that didn't happen with Sorensen, clearly. But it certainly happened with Saleh, and it did happen with D'Amico. So he does deserve credit for that. And that is a big part of your job as a head coach, is developing those below you. And then their job is to develop those below them. And then those position coaches are there to develop the players. See how this rolls downhill? So it's a good quality to have. A good quality to have. I don't know that they're trash. I don't think they're in the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're trash. I mean, trash is like, you don't even. They made the playoffs last year without Barkley, coming off of remember the Super Bowl hangover? How ugly it was for them. They still made it to the playoffs. The 49ers Super Bowl hangover was 6-11. So I don't know that they would be trash. They've been in the playoffs each of the last 4 years. Trash is not making the playoffs at all. Exactly. We were trash this year. Agree. We definitely did. And then we got to double dip because we get to bring Saleh back. And then if he gets hired again, we'll get more comp picks, which I like. I want to know why Chris Jones is. I don't know. He's just an emotional dude. You know what? I'm not saying this is him, but I feel like people that just cry as their emotion, just like they get so mad and worked up that they just cry. Those are psychopaths. So maybe he's just a psychopath. I don't know. But what I do know is he's a hell of a player, man. He is a hell of a player. And he definitely has some crazy, he's shown through the years some kind of uncontrollable, crazy emotion, like in a fiery way. And then over the last couple of years, he's mellowed it down, but he cries a lot. I don't know. There might be something to it. Might be something to it. No, like when he got, I know what you're saying. It's not just during the national anthem. Like he got hit or whatever and came to the sideline and was crying as well. But maybe he just took a finger to the eye and his eye was watery, and so we just kind of put 2 and 2 together. I don't know. But he definitely does cry a lot. Jesse, I don't know much about the Jets, but was it really Saleh's fault that they failed, or was he a scapegoat for Aaron Rodgers? I'm not saying that it's Saleh's fault. All I'm trying to say is there is no proof that Saleh is a good head coach based off of what he did with the Jets. Right? Like, I think your point is fair. And so maybe we can say there's no proof that he's a bad head coach. Okay. I'm fine with that. But based off of what the Jets did under his regime, there is no proof that he's a good head coach. None. None. So we'll see. But no, I don't solely put it on him. That place is a dumpster fire also. Frisco says, "Hey Jesse, that was super personal. He was crying when the Chiefs were about to win." No, I'm talking about before that even. He went to the sideline. Like he had gotten hurt on one play. Like he came out, I think it was in the third quarter. He came out for a play, and when he came out, he was crying then too. And then he cries in the pregame. I'm sure he was crying in the postgame. He cries a lot. He does. I was joking about the psycho thing. Just in general, people that cry when they're mad, like they just get so worked up, they cry. Like they are psychopaths. I'm not saying that that's what Chris Jones is. That was more of a tongue in cheek joke. He's just a really good player and happens to cry a lot. Which whatever, man. I mean, who's going to tell him to not cry? See the size of that man? Come on. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We did talk about this. For sure, he does. Yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah, dude, right? Hey, his statement was actually really true though. Did you hear what he said? He came out and was like, "Hey, we're going to keep being competitive. As long as Spagnuolo is here, we're going to be great. So good luck beating us. We're going to be a problem for the league. Every year that the league decides not to hire Spagnuolo for whatever reason, and we have Reed and Spagnuolo, good luck beating us," is basically what he said. And I do agree with that. What is going on, man? What is going on with this league? I don't know. Fact, statistics, lounge. All right. Calm down. No. I just now saw it. 49ers were 2-6 in one-score games last year, and in 2023, 11 of 12 wins were by 2 scores. Concerned at how they do in one-score games next season. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I talked about this year. This is a great point. The 49ers, what the Chiefs have done by playing in all these close games is they have learned how to win in all scenarios. All scenarios. The 49ers have not learned how to win consistently without front running. Now, that doesn't mean they haven't won in some tight scenarios, because they have. But consistently, when they are put into that position, they do struggle. So when they can come out and they can boat race you and punch you in the mouth and lead from the front, they're good. They're the best at that. But when they punch you in the mouth and then you punch back, it's like, oh, we don't know how to fight going backwards. We can only fight going forward. So if you put us on our back step, that's it for us. So yeah, I think it is a concern for sure. Absolutely. Misspelled Swift. Nice. Well done. Well, David, that goes for both of us. We are signing off. I do want to remind you, link is pinned to the top of the chat. Tomorrow night, 9:45 p.m. Eastern, 6:45 Pacific. We will be watching college all 22 on possibly multiple players. We will see. If you want to be a part of that, it will not be on YouTube. YouTube does not allow you to play college all 22. Understandable. It will be through that webinar link. That webinar link will ask for your name. It'll ask for your email, and then you will be on the invite list for when that starts. It will be much more personal than what you have here. There will still be a chat. There will be no super chats. And it is off the YouTube platform. It is strictly through the platform I use to stream on YouTube. If you can make it, great. If not, that's great too. I'm going to watch the film regardless. So whether there's one of you or 100 of you, we're going to watch it either way. So I appreciate you. Much love. Have a blessed night. Hopefully I see you there tomorrow night. We'll talk soon. Peace.